The new year is just around the corner, and I wanted to make a quick video for all of you who are new to Cosmere and Stormlight miniature painting. There's a lot of content out there about mini painting, and I wanted to share 8 of my top tips for this coming year so that you can be set up for success going into your painting journey. The first one is that as Cosmere miniature enthusiasts, there aren't many of us in the world. And I strongly believe in the power of community to bring together people who are like-minded, have shared interests, who can support each other and share excitement about a common topic. And so with that in mind, I created a Discord server called Sim Studio. This Discord server is your place, your one-stop shop for anything regarding Cosmere painting miniatures or diorama making that you have an interest in. As you've seen here, we have quite a few people who have been joining, sharing pictures. We have a showroom or a gallery area where you can show off your painted miniatures. And we have a questions and answers area. For those of you who have questions or concerns or are new to the hobby, this is a safe place to ask those questions. And then one of my favorites is the work in progress. I love seeing what people are working on, what's on their painting desk right now. And seeing these pictures come through is really fun for the whole community. Additionally, we've started collecting some of the specific miniatures that are kind of trickier to paint. We're starting to collect people's processes and how they're working on them. So far we have Syl and we have the Chasm Fiend. There's more to come. And I did ask my community so far, I asked them the same question on what they would recommend to new miniature painters coming into this hobby. And I'll be sprinkling their responses throughout the video. So stay tuned for those. So that's my first tip, is to join the Sim Studio Discord server. The link is down in the description below. Love to see you there. The next couple tips that I'll be dealing with will be over on my hobby desk. So I'm going to share a screen over here and show you what I'm talking about. The first thing is a dedicated hobby space. And so this is a desk inside my office. And I know that many people don't have room in their house or room in the area that they're living in for a dedicated space. There are lots of options out there for some kind of container that you can easily pull out and get your paints out that you need and wrap it all back up in a nice little spot. And the reason this is important is because I read the book called Atomic Habits, and one of the main things that he recommends to keep a habit or to stay engaged with a habit is to create an environment where doing that thing that you want to do is easy. And so having my paints all out on the on my table here, my paintbrushes over here, it just makes it so much easier for me to sit down and paint without having to set everything up every single time I want to paint. The second tip that we have is using a good light source. And so let me show you here. This is the lamp that I have. It's just a task lamp from Amazon. I can link it in the description. But this is important because as you are painting your miniature, if you don't have a good light, you're going to be painting in a basically a dark room is what it feels like. And it's not going to be as effective when you go to the game store and you put your minis out on the tabletop or something like that, or you show them off. You'll be surprised at the glaring errors that you see, the glaring issues. And so having a light that you can put really close to the mini while you're painting will help you catch all the different areas that you need to paint. You'll often hear within the painting community to thin your paints. One of the best ways to do this, from what I found, is using a wet palette. And what a wet palette is basically a sponge that's wet and then some parchment paper on top that keeps your paint moist and ready to use. And I got this one off of Amazon. It was a pretty good option for me. I did start out with making my own wet palettes, and those were pretty easy to make from some tutorials off of YouTube. And so if you want a DIY one to see how they work, I highly recommend it. Using a wet palette was one of the first things that I really saw a huge improvement in my painting. The next step I have is kind of silly, but it is something that I found really improved my painting this year. And that is to buy a makeup brush from, I bought this from Walmart for about $1. This is an eyeshadow brush. What you're looking for are some short bristles and that you can use. And this is what I used to dry brush. And dry brushing is a technique. It's a highlighting technique that adds a lot of flair to your miniatures. If you look at my Chasm Fiend video, I really used dry brushing a lot on that one. And getting a dry brush from a hobby store is a lot more expensive than just getting a makeup brush. One of my community members mentioned try a new technique with every mini. I highly recommend this. I've been trying to do that for myself, and dry brushing was one of those things that I kind of practiced with this year, and I really saw a good improvement in my painting. So trying out a new technique is awesome. So the next, often we're painting while we're holding the mini, and so we have to paint the base. Sometimes we have to hold a sword like that. This is not great because we have oil on our hands that can get all over the miniature and mess up our paint jobs, especially if the paint is still wet. And so you'll often see YouTubers have a painting handle of some kind. What I use is an old pill bottle. Anyway, what you can do is you get some sticky putty for sticking stuff to the wall. You can put it on the bottom of the base and then stick it on there. And all of a sudden you have a painting handle. You aren't touching the miniature while you're moving around and painting different things. And it keeps the miniature nice and clean while you're painting. So I wouldn't recommend buying a painting handle. You have plenty of things around the house, either old pill bottles. I've seen people use spice bottles as well. So another thing I debated if I wanted to put as a tip for this year, but if you don't have it yet, grabbing the Stormlight Miniature Kickstarter paint set could be a good value for you if you're just starting out, right? There are some quirks that you have to get used to with those paints, but they serve the purpose well. One of my community members mentioned that you should just buy the paints that you need. Buying a whole range or a massive set isn't needed. Having the option is nice, but quickly gets overwhelming. I would agree with this. As I've been through my painting journey, I've been able to pick up paints one at a time of like, oh, I'm painting Kaladin. I need blues. I need a blue shade. I need a blue wash. Or when I painted my Tress diorama, I picked up some green and I picked up some green wash. For every miniature, you're going to need slightly different paints potentially. And so you'll build up your collection slowly but surely. And you don't want to get overwhelmed by having a massive paint set that you're not going to use, right? They can be expensive. You're not sure if you're going to like them. You can start with the Stormlight Miniature paint set, but often just getting paints one at a time from your hobby store will be sufficient. My final tip is to participate in miniature painting competitions. Even if you don't feel like you're the best out there, honestly, there's always someone who's going to be better than you, someone who has more time, more resources to paint better than you do. But I have found, as I've been on my miniature painting journey, that when I put myself out there and have a deadline to reach with a theme to it, it really helps me improve my painting process. And so one of the top ones that you want to think of is at Dragonsteel Nexus. They had a miniature painting competition. I unfortunately wasn't able to go, but I know there are some people who were able to go and had a really good time seeing other people's painting. So that's one that you can keep in mind. I would encourage you to look around at your local gaming store. They could have a miniature painting competition that way. If you don't have one that's local, maybe you can start one. Other ways are going online to an online community. One of them that I'm participating in right now is Crafting for Hope, and another one is Tabletop Crafters United. Both of these are Discord servers. I'll link down below. They are great places to find like-minded individuals and to put in the time and effort to get your entries into these competitions. And with my Discord server in Sim Studio, I fully intend to have painting competitions with the Stormlight miniatures and the new miniatures that they start releasing. So that one's going to be very tailored to Stormlight miniatures. Be sure to join Sim Studio Discord server so you can see those as they pop up. There are a few pointers from my Discord community that weren't able to make it onto my individual tips. And so here's some bonus tips from them. One of them was, don't try too hard to make the faces look right. The detail isn't there in the minis themselves to give you much help. And this is in regard to the Stormlight miniatures that came. A lot of that detail is not there. Don't worry about getting them right. Some people are attempting it and getting some good results. But if you're just starting out, don't worry about getting crazy detail on the faces. Another one here is, don't worry if the minis don't look perfect. Just keep painting until you're happy with the result. If there's anything I've seen from being in this community, it's that people will support your journey no matter the quality of your work. As long as you're happy with it, you're good to go. I love this one, especially as a new painter and mediocre painter. It can be very daunting to post your things online, to show it to other people. We've all been there. We've all gone through the journey, and we're very excited to see paint on miniatures. Any paint on a miniature is better than no paint. Another one here is I'd also suggest painting what seems most fun to paint instead of trying to stick to an order or scare yourself by doing lots of minis at once. This one's fantastic. Paint the things that you think would be the most fun. That will keep you motivated and keep you in the game and keep you excited about your journey. So that's a wrap. Any other tips that I missed that you would want to share with the community, throw them in the comments below or join my Discord server and put them in there. And with that, happy painting, y'all. I'll see you on the next video.